On June 1976, 5 teenagers entered the secluded woods near their homes for one last hurrah before they all went their separate ways for the summer. What started as an innocent day of adventure would end in tragedy when one of them never came home. It's the kind of case that's plagued investigators ever since. But this was no ordinary missing person. This was Robert Spangler, and he wasn't just any teenager. He was the son of a prominent West German politician, and his disappearance has remained one of the country's biggest mysteries for over 45 years. Hello, I'm your host, and this is our channel. Join me today as we look back at the strange case of Pauline Picard, a girl who vanished without a trace 100 years ago and whose disappearance remains a mystery to this day. It's hard to imagine that the disappearance of a child could occur in modern times, let alone in the 1920s. But the truth is, there's been many cases of kids going missing only to be found years later. The strangest part about these cases is usually not the disappearance itself, but what happens next. In 1924, a 2-year-old girl named Pauline Picard went missing while playing near her home in Lyon, France. At the time, her mother Marie was working in the family's small grocery store, leaving Pauline in the care of her 16-year-old sister Suzanne. Despite the close proximity of their house to the shop, the family had no idea that disaster was about to strike. Pauline had wandered out of the house and was sitting on the windowsill waiting for her mother to come home when a passing motorist spotted her. He assumed she'd been abandoned and took her to the local police station. There, the officer on duty called the Missing Persons Bureau, who began searching for her parents. However, they soon realized that Pauline's family wasn't exactly what it seemed. It turned out that Marie and Suzanne weren't related by blood. Instead, they were business partners who ran the grocery store together. Their husbands were away on business at the time of Pauline's disappearance, so it was up to them to find her. The police questioned everyone who knew Pauline, including her father, Felix, who returned home early from his trip just to see if there had been any progress in the case. They also checked with all the hospitals in the area, but no one had seen her. Meanwhile, Pauline's mother and stepfather began placing advertisements in local newspapers, offering a reward for her safe return. Still, despite all their efforts, no one had any leads on where she could be. The police were stumped, and after several days of searching, they gave up. But her family refused to do the same. Every day, Marie and her husband went to the police station to ask if there had been any new developments in their daughter's case. But the longer it went on, the less hope they had of ever seeing her again. Then, out of nowhere, 2 months after Pauline disappeared, something strange happened. A woman entered the family's grocery store and asked for Pauline by name. She told the family that she'd seen the girl playing on the street and wanted to know if anyone was looking for her. Of course, the family jumped at this news and immediately contacted the police. Surely this could be the break in the case that they'd been waiting for. But unfortunately, the lead turned out to be a false alarm. The woman had no idea who Pauline was, and she'd only mentioned her because she thought the name was cute. Despite this setback, the family never lost hope that their daughter would turn up safe and sound. 3 months after she disappeared, Felix Picard received a phone call from a woman who claimed to have seen Pauline at a cafe. He rushed over and found her sitting in a corner booth just like the caller had described. Overjoyed, he embraced his daughter and thanked the woman for telling him where she'd been. But when he looked closely into Pauline's eyes, he noticed something strange. She didn't recognize him. Turns out the girl he'd found wasn't Pauline at all, but a homeless child who looked similar to her. The family fell into despair once again. Then, just when they thought all hope was lost, a ray of sunshine broke through the clouds. 4 months after Pauline went missing, she turned up at a farmhouse near her home. Her parents were overjoyed to have her back, but they couldn't help but wonder how she'd managed to survive on her own for so long. When Pauline was found, she was barefoot, dirty, and wearing the same clothes she'd been wearing the day she disappeared. She didn't remember anything about the past 4 months, and seemed confused about how she'd gotten to the farmhouse where she was found. The family took her home and tried to make her as comfortable as possible. They gave her food and clean clothes and made sure she had a warm place to sleep. All the while, They showered her with love and affection. Pauline responded well to their kindness and slowly began to open up. She told them about how she'd been living in the woods, eating berries and sleeping in tree hollows. She said she'd been too scared to approach anyone in case they tried to hurt her. Her parents were shocked to hear this and immediately contacted the police. They wanted to know who could have possibly tried to hurt their daughter and why. But unfortunately, the police had no answers. By this point, the case had gone cold, and they were reluctant to start digging up old leads. Still, Pauline's parents refused to give up. They continued to search for whoever had tried to harm their daughter, but their efforts were fruitless. No one had any information, and the case eventually faded from the public spotlight. As the years passed, Pauline tried to put the traumatic experience behind her. She got married and had children of her own, and seemed happy for a time. But the truth is, the ordeal left its mark on her. She never forgot the fear and uncertainty she felt during those long months in the wilderness, nor did she ever forgive herself for what had happened. She spent the last decades of her life searching for answers, hoping to finally put the terrifying ordeal behind her. But sadly, she never found them. In 2013, Pauline passed away at the age of 89, without knowing what had happened to her. Her case remains unsolved to this day, and the true story behind her disappearance is still unknown. Now, the question is, what do you think happened to Pauline? Do you think someone kidnapped her, or did she wander off and get lost? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to hear another video about a missing person who was never found, then check out the disappearance of Maura Murray. Until next time, I'm your host. This has been our channel. Join us next time for more videos about mysterious crimes and intriguing investigations. See you then, and thank you for watching.